Heavenly Father, we thank you for this beautiful day. Thank you for everyone that is here. We ask that you would be with all of the Mishpachah, all of the family, all over the world, who are worshiping you, who are serving you. We need your protection, Father. We thank you for your word and your spirit, your ruach. We thank you for your guidance, and we ask that you would be with us as we study your word today. And we thank you so very much for the blood of your Son and all the many blessings that you have bestowed us as your people. Let your Spirit lead and guide us into all truth according to your word. And we love you, Father. And we praise you. And we pray this in the name of Yeshua. Hallelujah. Blessed be Yahweh, King of the universe, who has sanctified us by his commands, redeemed us by the blood of his Son, Yeshua, and given us the command to hear and respond to the call of the shofar. So once again, here we are on Shabbat. And the topic for this teaching is going to be a topical teaching. It's not going to be a Torah portion teaching. And we're going to be having a deeper look at the word Dabar. This is the Hebrew word for word. And many of you that will be watching via the website or the YouTube channel or wherever it is, DVDs, a lot of you have been asking questions about just what is the importance? How much more significance is there in the Hebrew language? And I can honestly say that it has drawn my attention to the point to where it's addictive. I seek the knowledge because there's so much there. It's how I get fed. And many times it will take away any, we were speaking about this earlier, there's a lot of verses in the New Testament and in the Old where people will sit around and debate what it means for hours and never come to a conclusion. But when you drag this language into it and you research it back, there's going to be concrete definitions and there's going to be concrete letters. And it's going to give you the answer. But many times, we're not going to like it. It's going to force us to change our theology. And as a seeker of truth, that is what we should do. We should admonish one another with the truth and dig deeper and deeper and deeper into the Word so that we can draw near to Him. He said, draw nigh unto me, and I will draw nigh unto you. And you'll see the video testimony that we just seen with the two sisters that have been taking the Hebrew classes. I mean, there's testimony in and of itself that they have came to a new area in their worship with the Father. So we're going to have a look at what the Word of Yahweh actually is and what it is not today. Now, this excerpt is taken from one of the brothers, and there's where you can go to find it. Anybody can go read the whole article. I just posted part of it. But listen to the poetic definition of this brother's testimony of what the Word is. Art is the skillful production of the beautiful into visible forms. Michelangelo's essence is revealed through his sculptures, David and Pieta. These masterpieces can be drawn or painted by other artists, but the essence of Michelangelo will be lost in part due to the translation or reproduction process. One must touch and see the original David to fully perceive the heart of Michelangelo. William Shakespeare was an artist whose palette consisted not of marble, but of words. Words, as marble, can be chiseled with such masterful strokes that they result in a masterpiece that transcends mere communication, but rather ascends into the heavens as work of art. Yahweh, the Creator, the artist of all artists, has unveiled or revealed himself through his art, which is his creation. Now, many of you have heard me say this time and time again, that this is an agrobiological language. It's actually the DNA of the language itself is in the creation. When you cut down a tree, you can count the lines. It's going to tell you something, how old it is. And this stands true to the seasons that we live in. We know when it starts getting chilly, which is a lot here, I know, but we know these seasons by the changing of the times. He's speaking to us through his creation. This is how we keep track of the moedim, the feasts. He's speaking to us through his creation. So what we need to do is draw back closer to the word that was given in the beginning of creation. And when we draw nigh unto that, he draws nigh unto us. Not that he's ever far away from us, because we have his word within us at all times if we are truly redeemed by his Son. Yahweh, whether forming a rose, breathing life into a child, sculpting a planet, creating a cherubim, or breathing out ruach, which is the spirit, has also unveiled himself to mankind through his work of art, known to us as the Word of Yahweh. The Word of Yahweh consists of words masterfully applied to a canvas by number, position, patterns, emphasis, repetition, figures, rhymes, verse, meter, and we could go on and on and on. What he's saying is, it's a design. The language is a design. And when we begin to take this letter, we're going to go over this in a moment, but whenever we take this letter and form a word, we've designed something. And that's how he created us. We need to understand how this works. Studying it is as viewing a living cell under a microscope with unlimited magnification. And that, we're scientists, everyone. We're fruit inspectors. This is what we're supposed to do. Let's back away from the scientist that says that this world is 2 million years old, and let's look into the cell of the creation, which is the language. We're going to establish some things by looking at the word to see what the word actually is. And in these sets of verses, we're going to see that the word is also Torah. But there's things in the Torah that also define the word and what it is. Deuteronomy 4, 1 through 9. And now, O Yisrael, listen to the laws. So there's laws in the word. But the law is not the Torah. But there's laws in the word, which is called the Torah. Okay? Listen to the laws and the right rulings. There's judgments in it too, which I am teaching you to do, so that you live. And this is the Hebrew word chaya, and it's connected to the Hebrew word for life, chaya. So this also produces a way of living, right? We live by it, live by the right rulings, the laws, and the word, which in totality makes up what we now know as the Torah. And shall go in and possess the land. It has something to do with us possessing the inheritance. This English word is very important for us to understand. It has something to do with the inheritance. Remember how the sister said when we were watching the video that she doesn't just blow past any of the words anymore? She takes into consideration every word in that verse. While we do this, look, it has something to do with life, laws, judgments, and possessing the land. This word is very important. And many people are taught on a daily basis in the church not to worry about the word that was spoken in the law and the prophets. And shall go in and possess the land which Elohim of your fathers is giving you. Do not add to the word which I command you, and do not take away from it, so as to guard the commands of your Elohim which I command you. Now in verse 6, and you shall guard and do them, for this is your wisdom and understanding. So now we can understand that in the Torah, the Word, these laws, judgments, have something to do with the way we live, the land that we are to possess. Because let's face it, we're not in the land. We are sojourners in this world. The land that has been given to us is not yet in our possession. But when the Messiah comes back, when He comes, He is going to take us back to where we should be. And it also produces wisdom and understanding. There's a lot more to this English word than we have understood in the past. Before the eyes of all the peoples who hear all the laws, and they shall say, only a wise and understanding people is this great nation. So many times it doesn't have anything to do with our personal life, but He's trying to build a nation of believers. Small and large. Hallelujah. Verses 7 to 9. For what great nation is there which has Elohim so near to it as Yahweh our Elohim is to us, whenever we call on Him? And what great nation is there that has such laws and righteous right rulings, that's judgments and laws, in the Torah? So the Torah isn't the law, but there is judgments and laws in the Torah. Like all this Torah which I set before you this day. Only guard yourself and guard your life diligently, lest you forget the words. And that's what's happened in the world. The word of Elohim has stopped being taught within the assemblies. We take and cut it off right there where it says Matthew. When actually all of the right rulings, judgments, and the words for wisdom and understanding are in the books written prior to that. Your eyes have seen, unless they turn aside from your heart all the days of your life, and you shall make them known to your children and your grandchildren. This is stuff that we're supposed to hand down. It's a family heirloom, the Torah is. This is the family heirloom, is the Word. Okay, so we've now laid a little bit of the foundation of what the Word's function is. Instruction in righteous living, invokes blessings and curses, as we're going to see. And we're going to be reading Deuteronomy 28, verses 1 through 20. Deuteronomy chapter 28, 1 through 20. So to us who believe, this is what the function of the Word is. This is the purpose of the Word being given to us as a gift. It's a gift of Elohim. That He even still talks to a wretch like me is a gift in and of itself. See, I'm not worthy. None of us are worthy to receive the word that is breathed by the King. But yet, through His covenant, He keeps us close to Him. And He has mercy on us. And it shall be, if you diligently obey the voice of Yahweh, remember, His voice is His word. the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to guard to do all his commands, which I command you today, that Yahweh your Elohim shall set you high above all the nations of the earth. And we lost that, didn't we? We lost that as a nation. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you if you obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim. Blessed are you in the city, and blessed are you in the field. Blessed is the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your livestock, the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Blessed is your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed are you when you come in, and blessed are you when you come out. Yahweh causes your enemies to rise against you, hallelujah, to be smitten before your face. They come out against you one way and flee from you before you 7 ways. Yahweh commands the blessings on you. Let's take that into consideration. If you take away the Torah from your teaching, how are you to receive the blessings that this book is telling us that we have in covenant with Him? If you take away the Torah, the law that says He's going to bless you for being obedient, then how do you receive the blessing? Look at the world around us today, and look at all the sexual immorality, the disease, sexual diseases killing people. Look at all of the famine and starvation, and you tell me that what we've learned from the church has been what Yahweh is speaking of here. You know, it had been so long since I had received a true blessing from Him. Even when I was studying for my bachelor's degree in Christian theology, I thought that I had it all. And I was so haughty and high-minded. But when I started following the commandments, it broke me down. It broke me, and it gave me a contrite spirit. And then when I began to understand His Word is written aforetime, before the New Testament was compiled, and I began to read that, I was blessed. I now have a relationship with my mother that is inseparable, with my children. All of the things that it just said would happen to me happened. And it's there for all of us, everybody in the room today. All of the young men and young women. I mean, this is where your blessing is. This is where it's at. Had I come onto this earlier in life, had we all not come onto it earlier in life, you know, where would we be now in His eyes? He blesses us. Verse 8, once again, Yahweh commands the blessing on you in your storehouses and in all to which you set your hand, and shall bless you in the land which Yahweh your Elohim is giving you. Yahweh does establish you as a set-apart people to Himself, as He sworn to you if you guard the commands of Yahweh your Elohim and walk in His ways. That's not even asking very much. We can have everything on this earth that He says He will bless us with if we're just obedient to His Word. That's all He asks. Remember the story of the prodigal son. He said, hey, this guy's been out here squandering his inheritance. Right? He shows up, you put a ring on his finger, a robe, you kill the fatted calf, and you throw a party. He said, what about me? I've always been here with you. He said, you never asked. He said, son, all that I have is yours, but you never asked. You never asked Him. So when we're walking in obedience to the Word and we ask, then He's going to give us. This principle is spoken by the Messiah. He said that if a son asked his father for a fish, would he give him a serpent? If the son is being obedient and his son is, if the son is being obedient to the father's word and the household rules, he's going to give him the blessings that come from that house. That's a New Testament teaching as well. Now, he starts off with the good stuff, but there's also some judgment here. We see that there's judgments in Yahweh's law, in His Torah. But verse 10 says, and all the people of the earth shall see that the name of Yahweh is called upon you. When people see us fellowshipping here on Shabbat, they see us fellowshipping for the feast because we're being obedient to His word. Those people that walk up and down these streets say, oh, that's some Yahweh people. Hallelujah. Yeah. His name is called upon me because I am obedient. We are obedient to His word. That the name of Yahweh is called upon you, and they shall be afraid of you. And you know that's why they talk about us? Instead of walking across the street and coming in here and pulling up a chair and seeing what we're doing in here and worshiping the Mighty One, the Creator of all living things, we'll sit in the coffee shop and create gossip instead. I think one of the rumors was I was going to make a halfway house here. The other one was a homeless shelter. When all they had to do was walk over here and talk to us. They just had to ask. But they're afraid. They're afraid to. Verse 11, and Yahweh shall make you to have plenty of what is good, the fruit of your body, the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground, in the land of which Yahweh swore to your fathers to give you. Yahweh opens to you His good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain to your land. Now remember that word rain in Hebrew is Yara, and it's connected to Torah. It's the root word for Torah. So when it talks about rain coming upon the land, it's because you're being obedient to the word, to the Torah. The rain is connected to Torah. That's how He waters His flocks, feeds His flocks. Verse 13, and Yahweh shall make you the head and not the tail, and you shall be only on top and not be beneath. If, see there's the stipulation, if you obey the commands of Yahweh your Elohim, which I command you today, to guard and do. And do not turn aside from any of the words. There it is. See, so all of the things that we just read here, laws, judgments, Torah, comes from His word. Which I am commanding you today, right or left, to go after other mighty ones to serve them. And it shall be, if you do not obey the voice of Yahweh your Elohim, to guard to do all His commands and His laws, which I command you today, then all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. And that's what happened. That's why we see sickness within the body. That's why we see diseases. Does He heal? Yes. But we still reap the curses of disobedience on ourselves as a people. Cursed are you in the city, and cursed are you in the field. Cursed is your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed is the fruit of your body, and the fruit of your land, the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Cursed are you when you come in, and cursed are you when you go out. Yahweh sends on you the curse. Now remember, we read about these curses in the Brit Hadashah. The curse of the law, it's not saying that the law is a curse. It's saying that we've reaped curses that were written in the law upon ourselves. The law is not a curse, but there are curses in the law, and instead of receiving the blessings, we have been receiving the curses because of our disobedience. It does not say that the law is a curse. It says that there's curses in the law. And we just read them. So, we see the curses in the world for sure. Why don't we see all the blessings? Because they've removed the Torah from their teachings. And it produces the rain. Water cleanses, produces growth, produces grain to feed on, the Word. Yahweh sends a curse, sends on you the curse, the confusion, and the rebuke, and all that you set your hand to do until you are destroyed, and until you perish quickly, because of the evil of your doings by which you have forsaken me. So here we see when we forsake Yahweh's word, we receive the curses of the law instead of the blessings that are written in the Torah. So here we see the function, a couple of the functions of the Word. The Word has many other functions like redemption and other things of the sort. But here we see, these are the ones we need to focus on. We want to receive the blessings. It doesn't sound like all that much fun to walk around and being cursed all the time. I want to receive His blessings. Hallelujah. All right? So, this poses a question to anyone who's seeking a blessing from Yahweh. If I was the enemy, and I'm not, but I remember a time in my life when everything was very racial and strategic. And at times, there was so much hatred within the people I was around that you better have a really good game plan to survive. So, knowing that there's blessings and curses and that we can be the head and not the tail, if I were the enemy, what would I do? What would I do? If the enemy knew that Yahweh's word says not to add to or take away from it, and that not obeying it would produce the curse instead of the blessing, making us the tail and not the head, honestly, what would he do? He would change it. Right? What happened to Hava, Eve, in the garden? He used the word, but he said, did Yahweh say this? And she said, oh, no. And he said, oh, no, that's really not what he meant. See, he was using the word, but in a deceiving manner. And that's what's happened to us in the world today. We have in our possession the English translations of these words that were spoken by Yahweh. But as we see in the beginning of this, when we went over what the brother was saying about how it's orchestrated, that's why the study of the language is so important. You may not have time in your schedule to dig into it as deep as I and other people can, but you know me, and I'm a phone call away. See, we have that connection now. We have these books. We know for a fact what he has said through the study of those ancient hieroglyphics. Do you think that he may suddenly change the word, possibly creating a very passable counterfeit? Well, that's what I would do. And look at the evidence around us. That's what's happening. So how do we overcome the manipulation of the word? How do we overcome that? If we know that our English translations can't be 100% word for word what was actually read, then what can we do? Dig. Because it's there. Dig. It's there. I've got a whole other set of books over there in the study hall right now. I think everybody has a key. If not, we'll get one. You can come dig. Turn on the lights, you be there till midnight, I don't even care. But if you're digging and you're seeking to know the truth, you know we have been lied to and somebody has tried to deceive us out of our inheritance. To understand the deeper things of the Debar of Yahweh is how we keep ourselves unspotted and undefiled in His presence. Now remember the testimony that we've seen about the two sisters. Those of you that will view this by internet, you've probably already seen it because it's all over YouTube and they'll know what I'm talking about. But remember what we see, the testimony from those two sisters that took that class. The one was still in and is still in the advanced class. And she's seeing things that I never saw when I studied those very same words. It's not for me, it's for all of us. That woman said her life has changed dramatically in 5 weeks. She doesn't act or speak the same. She doesn't react the same. Hallelujah. Now remember everything that we heard them speaking about, as well as what we've learned the Word is thus far. Life, understanding, wisdom, etc. It is the Torah. Proverbs chapter 2, verse 1 through 6. My seed. Son is Ben, my seed that came from the house. If you accept my words and treasure up my commands with you. Now, who wrote this? Solomon. This is years down the line of Deuteronomy. All right? If you accept my words and treasure up my commands within you, so that you make your ear attend to wisdom, there it is again. Incline your heart to understanding, there it is again, right there in the Word. For if you cry for discernment, do you understand what's happening here? Israel had already broken covenant. And so he's speaking through his messengers over the years on how to draw us back. Through the Word. That's how we gain wisdom about the covenant, following the commands of the covenant, and understanding the covenant that we have with our Creator. It gives us discernment when we cry and we dig for it. Lift up your voice for understanding. If you seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasure, we have 2,000 years of man's theology piled on top of the truth, and this verse is proving that. We must search for her as hidden treasure. And when you use these books to study this language, it's a treasure. You dig, you find. That's the thing about it though. You're never going to be on a wild goose chase, the X marks the spot trick. No. When you use His Word, you're going to hit water every time you drill a well.
That's right.
You're never going to miss. Seek her as silver and search for her as hidden treasures. Then you would understand the fear of Yahweh and find the knowledge of Elohim. For Yahweh gives wisdom out of His what? His mouth, where His Word comes from, came knowledge and understanding. So even in the English, we see these beautiful pictures of what the Word is and what its function can be. All right? Now, scriptural foundation in the research of the Hebrew is something very important. This is taken right out of the ancient Hebrew lexicon that we use to do our word searches by Jeff Binner. And he says the first and foremost concept that a reader of biblical text must learn is that the ancient Hebrews were products of an Eastern culture, while you as the reader are the product of a Western culture. These two cultures are as different as oil and vinegar. They don't mix very well. Really got to shake it up to make it even digestible. What may seem rational in our Western minds would be considered irrational to an Easterner of an ancient Near East culture. The same is true in the reverse. What may be rational to an ancient Easterner would be completely irrational in our Western mind. The authors of the biblical text are writing from within their culture to those of the same culture. In order to fully understand the text, one needs to understand the culture and the thought processes of the Hebrew people. This is why those women that we were hearing the testimony from are going, I've never seen that. Because we're restoring our Hebrew mind in the study of Yahweh's Word. But we've been taught by Greek, Latin, and English influence, which is Western. All existing Hebrew lexicons of the Bible convert the vocabulary of the ancient Hebrews into a vocabulary compatible to our modern Western language. Mistake number one. All of those added words in parentheses, we just need to get rid of them and try to make sense out of it by using the Spirit, maybe? Hallelujah. The greatest problem with this is that it promotes Western thought when reading the biblical text. In this lexicon, the mind of the reader is transformed into an Eastern one in order to understand the text through the eyes of the ancient Hebrews who penned the words of the Bible. This is why we're seeing all of these great testimonies from these people going, I never knew that. Because they're restoring their Hebrew mind. And let me bring a verse to you. Let the same mind be in you that was also in Yahshua Messiah. He was a Hebrew. He had Eastern thoughts, Eastern intents, and Eastern ways of speaking. So if we can better understand the language, we can better understand the Word. And He was the Word manifest in the flesh. He wore these. But what were they? I remember, what were those strings? The guy's wearing strings. Now what is that? I never knew what they were. Until I started studying Hebrew, and I found out it was a tzitzit. And then when I studied tzitzit, I said, well, it's not even in the New Testament. And I found out, oh yeah, it was. Just can't see it. The hem of his garment is not what she was reaching for. The Greek word there is the English word tassel. So anyway, we come to a better understanding when we get this Hebrew thinking in order. Now this is where it comes. We see the English word, we see all the judgments and everything. It leads us to Torah, understanding, wisdom, life, and it leads us to the promised land as well. It's a path. It's a path. And the word of Yahweh came to Isaiah. And the word of Yahweh came to Jeremiah. And the word of Yahweh came to Ezekiel, saying, right? We see that I don't know how many times in Scripture. And the word of Yahweh came into, and He gave him the word to speak to. And what did that actually mean, and what does it consist of? When we see that English word, the word came to Yahweh, the word of Yahweh came to Isaiah, well, we know that, well, Yahweh spoke to him. But there was something going on in a Hebrew perspective that none of us are aware of. Out of the Strong's, the abstract definition for word, look at this. Word is Strong's Hebrew number 1697, Dabar, and it comes from the root of Debar. Right, there's our word. A word, a matter spoken of. Now, these are all Western abstract definitions of the Strong's. But look what it says here. Properly to arrange. Wait a minute. So something is being arranged in the process of Yahweh speaking to Isaiah, speaking to Jeremiah, and all of his prophets, and I submit to each and every one of us. When we begin to think like He thinks, let me show you what happens. Properly to arrange, to speak, to subdue. This has everything to do with your mind. Watch this. I could not possibly know what you people are talking about when we're having a conversation unless I was familiar with your alphabet that you're using to form a word with, arrange a word. It's subduing your thoughts. That's why this whole thing is a mind game. Watch. So you're using English characters out of the alphabet and you're snatching them like that and forming a word out of it. Then you're arranging the letters into a word, but then you're arranging the words into sentences. And it happens like this. And I can only understand what you people are saying to me, and you can only understand understand what I'm saying to you if I convey it from the alphabet that you are familiar with. Or some people in here may speak more than one language and would be familiar with that. I think all of you speak 2 languages. Okay, so Yahweh was speaking in Hebrew. So he was snatching the characters that he gave to Adam, Abraham, Moshe. He's got that alphabet. And he's arranging letters, forming words that the Hebrew mind would understand, and it would subdue the mind. That is why the adversary attacked Eve's mind. With another word, he planted another seed. He had her doubt and brought her into subjection to him instead of the word of Elohim. So if our Western minds have been subdued by another language, how can we properly convey what's being spoken of in the Scripture? In those detrimental places. This is why whenever we start to look at the language, we go, oh, wait a minute. That's what that Hebrew word actually means. That kind of changes this doctrine that I was taught here. It's because it's coming from a different thought process. Now in the ancient Hebrew lexicon, here we see, it's number 2093 on page 320. And it's Dalit Bet Resh. This is the picture of a door. This is the picture of a tent floor plan or a house. And that's the picture of a head, the head of man. Now this is simple. Yahweh wanted us to understand this. I don't know if everybody has a chart. But there's charts laying around to show you how much more significant this word is in Hebrew. I want to go over that briefly. Because what we're seeing here is that the word gives us blessings. Right? And we know that the word has something to do with the promise of the land, with wisdom, and with understanding. But it also, if it has something to do with the inheritance, which is the land, it means that the word is going to put us somewhere. The Debar of Yahweh is going to place you somewhere where you were not prior to you coming to the understanding of the word. So looking at the 4th one down, it's a little bit different form on your sheets, but it's the 4th one down. You'll see that it's the picture of a door. That's the Dalit. And it can mean to move, hang, or entrance. Then looking at the bet, which is the second one in the column, you see it's the picture of a tent floor plan. It's the second one on your sheet. It's the picture of the tent floor plan, and it means family, house, or in the family, or in the house. Wait a minute. Everything that we just read, everything that we just read in Deuteronomy is right here in 3 letters. And the head, the resh, which is an R. This would be a D, a B, and an R in English. Dabar. Look at the head. It's the 4th one from the bottom. It's the head of man. But look at the meanings. First, top, or beginning. Wait a minute. If we follow the word, the Debar, it's going to open the door and put us back in the house, back in the family that was first created. It's the first. It's what was revealed to us in the beginning. See, it can mean beginning or first. So, because we sinned against the word of Elohim and started reaping the curses of the law upon ourselves, Yahshua said, I am the door. Look at the meaning of the Dalit again. To move, hang, or entrance. The Word is the entrance. The Word became flesh and dwelt among us, and they crucified him and they killed him. And he's the door back into the house, back into the covenant that was from the beginning. That's in 3 letters. Notice that it can mean to move and hang. A door doesn't just sit on the ground. It hangs. You hang the door. Yahshua hung. Right? And what is the door mounted on? Hinges. Everything about us entering back into the household hinges on the door. That's how we are moved back into covenant, into the house. That's why we see him speaking to us through the prophets and his word telling us that you must come back to my word, my Torah, to understand wisdom and understanding so that you can come back into covenant with me. And if the law is the Torah, and they're saying in modern theology that the Torah is a curse, how can you ever come through the door? Yahshua was the living Torah. And he hung for us, and everything that we believe, and the promised land, getting back into the house that was formed in the beginning. And let me bring that up to you. And the first word in the Hebrew Bible is Bereshit. Bet is there. Resh is there. He's showing us that that is the way to go back to the beginning. The house that was formed in the beginning, when you come through the door who is Yahshua, you're going to recognize right away. If the pastor from behind that pulpit is not telling you to follow the household rules, the 10-4 plan, then he's not a shepherd of Yahweh. Sorry. You can only gain the understanding, according to everything that we just read, and according to the Hebrew language here, you can only gain that wisdom and that understanding by going back to what is written in the Torah to gain wisdom, understanding, and inherit the land. It's written. It's right there. Now, once again, in the ancient Hebrew lexicon, we see word, an arrangement of words. Thing as something that is arranged. In Hebrew thought, words contain substance just as physical objects do. The root of Debar is the dalit and the bet. And it means order. Can anybody, right off the top of their head, think of a passage in the New Testament where it talks about order? I think there's 3.
The order of Melchizedek?
Hallelujah! The order of Melchizedek comes through the word of a righteous king. Okay? Yahshua is the high priest who gave the atonement. He was the door back into the house. That covenant is the Melchizedek order, in which we have inherited that all of the patriarchs, hallelujah, died waiting on it. They knew that the Levitical priesthood was only a temporary fix. It's no longer valid. What do? They were expecting the Mashiach, the Malik Zadok, the righteous king, to come back and give them the land. There it is. Yahweh said, all that I have is yours, and the earth and its fullness belongs to Yahweh. Hallelujah. That is our inheritance. It's the whole earth. It's almost critical that we begin to gain a deeper understanding so that we can not only for ourselves, but to share this with the brethren. Because if what the brethren are trying to tell me contradicts that, I've got to say, this is what was written and spoken out of the word of our King. And I love him. I know you guys do too, or you wouldn't be here. I just want to walk in a way that is pleasing to him. Hallelujah. That which makes up the word is what we must search for. He said that if you will search for it as if it was a hidden treasure. And I remember times in my life when somebody told me there was a treasure in my backyard, and I'd been out there with a mat knife, duct tape to my forehead and a spoon, trying to find it. Right? How much more now that we know what we know, should we not be in search for this? It takes dedication, it takes hard work. But knowing that it takes time to do this is okay, because he never said, you know what, I don't feel like going up on that stake today. I don't feel like being crucified today. I don't feel like completing that work. You know what? Because to me, dying doesn't sound like all that much fun. But he knew what it would produce. Everlasting life and us going into the inheritance. Hallelujah. Brother, are you going to come pray us out, brother? Yes.
Father, we thank you for this amazing, wonderful time, and precisely this time in our life, Father, today, Father, that you would bring knowledge and understanding to us in such an abundant and beautiful way, Father. We thank you for your Debar, your word, and ask that it would wash all of us, Father. Bring us to humility, bring us that quickening, Father, and let us go with the spoon and unearth your treasures, Father. We just thank you so much. We thank you for the congregation of the people and for all your people abroad, Father. We thank you for our visitors here today, and just ask blessing on all of us in equal and abundant measures, Father. We thank you. Keep us obedient to your laws, your commands, precepts, your blessings, Father. We desire them, and we just love you, Father. Show us how to love. Show us how to be pliable. And we just thank you, Father. Pray your goodness here. Amen.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
Within the power of your hand, we gratefully adore you. In life abundant we stand, a melody